Most players waste their off season. Not because they're lazy, but because they don't have a plan. This video is the plan. Take notes. First off, I'm Flo. I'm a basketball player in Germany. I went from being really unathletic, chubby kid to becoming an athletic player, dunking, throwing windmills. I did this with trial and error and figuring out what works for me, and I want to help you become a better athlete without having to test everything by yourself. First and foremost, rest. Rest is real. Rest is important. Your body needs to recover after a season, especially if you played big minutes, had a big role, and even if you didn't, all the practices, all the games wore on your body and you need to recover. But there's a difference between resting and rotting. Rest means go outside, travel if you can, spend time with your family and friends, go in nature, just do things that help your body and your mind recover. On the other hand, a lot of players sit on their PlayStation, play video games all day, scroll on TikTok all day, and this is not recovering you because your mind is still under stress, your mind is still focusing on whatever it is you're doing, and this won't let your nervous system and your body actually recover. You're just distracting yourself and delaying the season for a couple of weeks or months. So it's important to use the off season, especially the first part of the off season directly after your season ended, because then the season is further away, to really get your mind off the game and have some fun. Try different sports. I like to do it. I like to do combat sports. I like to do everything, like go running. I just like to play different kind of sports, you know? That can help. That can give you a different angle on basketball because you're learning different movement patterns, etc. Especially as a kid, this is really important. Now, before you touch a ball, sit down, take out your notebook, and start reflecting. Start reflecting about the past season, about your game. This is really important, and you should be doing this anyway. Sitting down, journaling, and reflecting about life, basketball, whatever it is. Watch film of yourself if you have any. The full game, like really look at it play by play. What can I do better? What did I do wrong? And then ask yourself 3 questions. First, what went well this season? What did you do good? What is something you need to keep on working and keep doing good next season? What held me back? And third, which ties into the second question, what is one thing, if I fixed it now, that would have the biggest impact on my game next season? So basically finding that one single thing that is holding you back the most in basketball. This answer becomes your off-season mission, your off-season goal. Everything else is secondary. Once you've locked in that goal, make the plan. You have a specific window. Depending on when your season ends and when your next season starts, it could be 6 weeks, could be 3 months, or longer, shorter, whatever. Doesn't really matter. But break it down. What do I need to do every day, every week, every month to achieve this goal by the time the preseason or the season preparation starts with your team? Write this down. Put it somewhere where you see it every day to remind yourself of what are you working for, and so you don't lose that goal out of sight. The next really important step to this is commit. Make like an agreement, like a contract with yourself, like Kobe said, and don't negotiate with yourself. This is what you decided you're going to do for the off season. Nothing else. Here are the most common goals. I think the most common goals, and most likely the goal you're trying to achieve this off-season, is dunking. Most players, especially young players, obviously want to improve their athleticism over the off-season, and especially to start dunking. If your goal is to dunk, your priority is vertical training and not playing more basketball with your friends. Even though it might suck, feel awkward, if your goal is to dunk, then it's not the best move to play 6 hours of runs every day. But plyometrics, strength work, jump mechanics, all these things is where you get the inches from for your vertical. If you're looking for some exercises, check out my socials down below. I've posted some exercises that are going to help you jump higher and get that first dunk. The second most obvious one is shooting. Shooting has become such an important skill, especially in today's game. And obviously everybody wants to become a better shooter. And shooting is something where I want to spend a minute here, because this was also part of my journey. I had a broken shot. I knew it, and I kept working and kept putting reps in, but I was wondering why I didn't improve. And that changed until I worked with a trainer who was an expert on shooting, and he really knew his stuff. And I was surprised when we just started for the first 3 weeks of just being in the paint, close to the basket, even just the no-charge circle. And I was like, is this really getting me better? But the point was focusing on the form, the execution, and how you move your hands and your whole body for the shot. And also just developing that touch for your shot, which is a major key to becoming a better shooter. After that, I worked my way out. And surprisingly, once I got out of the paint and I started shooting from really, really far, my range has gotten better. All of a sudden, I could almost pull up from half court, and it was feeling light. And that was because I locked in on my mechanics. And if the mechanics are right, it doesn't really matter from which range you shoot. So don't rush to range, focus on your form, because this is what really unlocks your shot. Now this section is especially for my American players watching, and I say this with love, because I've been there. When I was in the States, I was training 4 times a day over the off season, and I got better at basketball 3 times as much as I did here in Germany. But I also played AAU, and I was around that whole AAU scene. And I've seen a lot of good players, really good players, waste their entire offseason on AAU. Because especially when you're younger, it's kind of detrimental to your offseason if you're just playing game after game after game, no practices. And most players tend to, in between those tournaments, do nothing. Be on the game, waste time, and wait for the next tournament. Because that's what they're doing. But it's not really helping you. If you're not on the main court, on the big circuits, most of the time you're really wasting time because no coaches are there to look at you. You're not getting the exposure, and you're not in the gym getting better. So especially if you're freshman, sophomore, junior, be careful with the AAU. And especially if you're not on a big circuit. Because on those smaller circuits, there barely are any coaches. So it's important to invest your time in skills training and getting better instead of just playing and playing and playing. Playing has its place too. And it's important to play. I played a lot too in my off season. But it was with intent. It was going to runs with people who were better than me. Going to D1 runs, going to runs where players actually played well, not just your local YMCA. This might feel good, but it's not making you better. So look for those opportunities, and otherwise focus on skills training. And competition is really important. I'm not trying to downplay that, but find runs and find the best players who are willing to play with you, because that's what makes you better. Don't find teammates or friends or random people at the Y you're better than, who you know you can beat, because this is not making you better. This just strokes your ego. The players who come back unrecognizable after the offseason are the ones who put themselves in uncomfortable situations. Seek that discomfort as much as possible. So here's the blueprint. Rest right. Reflect. Find your one thing that restricts you the most in basketball. Then make the plan. Okay, I'm training this, and this. Commit to it and don't budge from that commitment. It really is that simple, but it's not easy. You have to be really focused. And the most important part about focus is not looking at a thing, but cutting out all other distractions. So if your friends who don't really take basketball that serious call you up for the 6th time, oh, you want to play some ball? You might have to tell them no, because it's not making you better. And if you really want this, you have to make those sacrifices. If this helped you, subscribe, check out my socials. If you have any questions about becoming more athletic, becoming a better shooter, working out, your off season, whatever it is, send me a DM on Instagram, TikTok, whatever, and I'll try to help you out as much as possible. Share it with a friend who needs to have a good off season this year. And I'll see you in the next one.